Hi there, my name is Finn and my pronouns are he, him. If you're watching this, maybe you're feeling stuck, confused, overwhelmed about your relationship with someone who drinks too much or who maybe doesn't drink but is affected by alcoholism. Maybe you've been asking yourself the question, should I stay or should I go? And that's a heavy question. It's one that many of us in Al-Anon have wrestled with, and I've been stuck there myself several times. In this video, I want to share some of what I've learned both from my experience and from the principles of Al-Anon. Maybe I can help you explore this question you're asking. I'm not going to give advice or 6 easy steps to success. I will be validating your concerns, providing some tools, and asking questions that may help you come to your own decision. So let's get started. Hey friends, welcome back to Al-Anon Recovery Hacks, where we break down recovery into practical everyday tools. If you're ready for more serenity and less chaos, you're in the right place. Before we dive in, just a quick note, I'm not a spokesperson for Al-Anon or any other 12-step group. Everything I share here is based on my own personal experience, strength, and hope. Take what you like and leave the rest. If you found this video, you might be in a relationship with someone who drinks too much or someone whose alcoholism affects you deeply, even if they don't call themselves an alcoholic. Maybe you are exhausted, you're confused, angry, you're feeling guilty. Maybe you've been carrying this question for a long time. Should I stay or should I go? And before we even try to close in on that question, let's take a few minutes to talk about what it actually feels like to live in a relationship affected by alcoholism. Because if you're anything like I was, you may not even have the language yet for what's happening. So it's not just the drinking, it's what happens around it. The trust you may have had is probably broken. It's been broken over and over again. Maybe this person has made promises to stop drinking or cut back. Maybe they lie, hide things. Maybe they rewrite history or they don't remember what happened. Over time, you might stop trusting them, and you might even stop trusting yourself. And boundaries often get ignored or confused in alcoholic relationships. Maybe you've tried to set limits only to be guilted about them, manipulated, or just ignored. Maybe you stopped setting boundaries at all because it felt pointless. Communication can feel like you're walking through a minefield. You may not know what version of your partner you're going to get. They can be calm one minute and sweet, and then defensive and cruel the next minute. Conversations might go nowhere. You might feel like you're going in circles, you're walking on eggshells. Intimacy, emotional and physical, often can fade in an alcoholic relationship. Maybe you live together, but you're completely feeling alone and invisible and like your pain doesn't matter. And if you felt this way, I want to say you're not overreacting, you're not making it up, you're not crazy. When we live with someone who drinks or is affected by alcoholism, we often start to feel like, we're the problem. We wonder, am I too sensitive? Why can't I just let this go? What if I'm crazy? You're not crazy. You are in pain, and that pain deserves to be taken seriously. How has alcoholism changed your feelings towards your partner or towards yourself? Let's talk about what Al-Anon does and doesn't offer. Al-Anon is a spiritual program. It's based on principles and not prescriptions. We don't give advice. We don't tell people what to do. We definitely don't tell anyone whether they should stay or leave a relationship. I think when you go to meetings, you can hear people share about how grateful they are to have stayed in relationships with their alcoholic loved ones. And other people may say that leaving was a huge turning point in their recovery. That might feel frustrating, especially if you're in a lot of pain and you just want someone to tell you what the answer is. Answers that bring us peace usually don't come from other people. They come from within or from with a higher power. How is this video going to help? Where do we go for direction? First of all, you might benefit from talking with a therapist or a marriage counselor, someone trained to help you look closely at the specific details of your situation, especially if safety is a concern. Therapy and Al-Anon are not mutually exclusive, so go ahead and try both. There is a lot of wisdom also in the Al-Anon literature. Two books that many people find helpful in the program are Discovering Choices. This book explores how members have faced difficult decisions in their relationship, and also intimacy in alcoholic relationships. That gets into intimacy of all kinds, but especially in partnerships, and the emotional distance that comes with alcoholism is tough, and it helps us explore how we might heal. So, and finally, I would say if you're not working with a sponsor yet, this would be a great time to consider it. A sponsor is someone who can walk beside you, someone who's worked a program. They can help you explore the 12 steps in the context of your life. And they're not going to tell you what to do, but they can offer their experience, their perspective. They will help you stay grounded when emotions are running high. And they will be in a position to support you and give you the space to not rush your decisions. What kinds of support have you sought out already? And which supports are you willing to try? All right, first things first, let's create a space to think clearly. If you've been living in a relationship with alcoholism, you're asking yourself, should I stay or should I go? That's not a small question, and it can feel pretty urgent and overwhelming. I know when I was asking it, it felt very urgent and consuming. And when you're in that space, a space of crisis, you might not be doing your best thinking. And maybe you've had a terrible argument, you've hit your emotional bottom, you're terrified of what staying means, you're terrified of what leaving means. This is where the Al-Anon slogan, first thing first, can be really helpful. So before you try to figure out the rest of your life, ask a more immediate question. Are you in any shape to make a clear decision right now? When we're in flight or fight mode, like lizard brain, we're scared, angry, exhausted, desperate. Our nervous system is in survival mode. And while that's totally natural and can be helpful in certain situations where we have to flee, it's not ideal for big decisions. So the advice that I was given is to pause. We are in a state where we think things are in black or white. I have to leave right now. I have to stay forever. And I was not in a place where I could interpret any middle paths. I was forgetting that I had options. So instead of rushing into a decision, it was helpful for me to say, like, what now? Right now, what do I need? Come back to myself. Maybe I need space. I need a night away from this person, or I need to ask my partner to take space from me. Maybe I need rest. I need a good night's sleep. I'm losing sleep because I'm stressed about something. I just need to get a good night's sleep. Maybe I need to move my body. Maybe I need to go for a walk or take a hot bath or spend some time in nature. Maybe I need connection. I need to call a friend. I need to have a conversation with somebody who is just there to listen, and I need to feel heard. Whatever it is for you, like, it's not a luxury. These are essential pieces of self-care. These things can help us lower the noise, the cortisol, quiet the panic, and help us return to a place where we can hear that inner voice. So again, you don't have to decide today. First things first, you're allowed to take time. And one day at a time is not just a slogan for the alcoholic, it helps us as well. We can take this one day at a time. And I just will say that there's one caveat here. If your physical safety is in danger, acting swiftly may be necessary. Call the National Domestic Violence Hotline. I will put the number below if you are being physically abused or threatened. What do I need today to feel more grounded? Can I give myself permission to pause instead of decide? Now we're going to talk about awareness and acceptance. Once we've had a little space to breathe and to rest and calm the chaos of our minds and bodies, it is then tempting to relax and say, okay, maybe things aren't so bad. And this is where we need to lean into the discomfort and be honest. Awareness is looking clearly at what happened without judgment, but also without sugarcoating. We're going to begin to notice that parts of our life are unmanageable. We need to notice the dynamics that are happening over and over again that we find unacceptable. And we need to accept the powerlessness that we've been trying to change the other person, hoping, wishing, waiting. And let's come face to face with what we can't control. And that's the point where we can begin to ask what we can change. Another part is acceptance. Acceptance gets misunderstood all the time. It doesn't mean giving up or saying, oh, well, I guess this is just how it is. And definitely doesn't mean we approve of the situation. Acceptance means we stop hiding or arguing with reality. We're going to say, this is what's true right now. This person may not change. The dynamic might not shift, at least not soon. And then we can say, given that, what do I need next? And that doesn't mean that you have to start taking a big action today. It just means that your future choices are going to be based on what's real and not what you're hoping will be true someday. All right, so the clarity comes after the acceptance part. Clarity doesn't come when we're fighting what is. Clarity comes when we stop waiting for someone else to change and start gently turning towards our own truth. And acceptance isn't defeat, it's just the beginning of leading a more empowered life. I want you to maybe consider the questions: what truth have I been afraid to look at? And if nothing changes, what would I need to do to care for myself? All right, looking at our part is huge in Al-Anon. To look at our part means that we begin to notice how we respond to the chaos, how we're trying to manage it or fix it or cover it up or rescue the person. It means I'm looking at my own habits. I'm not going to stay silent when I need to speak up, or I'm not going to overfunction and take over when someone else is dropping the ball. It's not about blaming myself, it's about becoming aware. I just want to be clear: you did not cause the drinking, you can't control it, and you can't cure it. And the beautiful thing is when we change, even just a little bit, the whole emotional dynamic with the alcoholic can start to shift. So we're not changing to save the relationship, we're changing to save ourselves. And as we work the program, we may learn to express needs more clearly. We may pick our battles more carefully. We may own our mistakes and let go of guilt that isn't ours. We may start rebuilding self esteem. We may begin creating a support system so that we're not isolated. These changes don't guarantee the relationship will survive the things that you're going through, but they may help us become stronger, clearer, more connected to our own self-worth. So again, this is not a strategy to make the alcoholic change. That would be another form of control, even if it's wrapped up in recovery language. We don't change so that they'll get better. We change so that we can live better regardless of what the other person is doing. Have I asked a higher power to help me see my part in this? Am I willing to try something new, even if it feels scary or slow? If I've been asking, should I stay or go? Am I open to the possibility that there is another question entirely? So sometimes the question really is, what do I need right now? How can I meet the need in a healthy way? Let's get specific about this because I know you're hurting probably in this relationship. So what does that mean? If you're longing for like emotional intimacy, is it possible you could find that with a close, trusted friendship in the program? People who see you and accept you fully. If you're terrified about money, could you begin separating finances to gain stability and control over your resources? If you are worried about your children, are there boundaries you could set to reduce that harm or to model how adults ask clearly for respect? Now, we may not be able to fix everything, but like things like this, they can be small ways to get your peace and serenity back. So everybody's situation is going to be very unique. That's why It's helpful to reflect. What need of mine is most unmet right now? And how might I begin to meet that need with or without the alcoholic's involvement? Am I open to a kind of relief I haven't thought of yet? So now we've come back to the question that brought you here. Should I stay or should I go? Maybe that question feels just as raw and urgent as it did 10 minutes ago when you started this video. Maybe something has softened. Maybe you still don't have the answer, and that's okay. Al-Anon is there for you. It's not going to rush you. You have the space and time to figure this out. Sometimes the wisest thing that we can do is pause, stop demanding an instant relief from our problems. That might mean staying with the alcoholic a little longer, trying to set better boundaries. It might mean leaving, but not in a panic. It might mean waiting while continuing to grow and heal. No one can make that choice for you. But here's what I know. You don't have to stay stuck in fear. You don't have to figure it out today. And you absolutely don't have to walk this path alone. You deserve love and acceptance. And if you keep coming back, and if you ask for higher powers help, I think that eventually the right next step will become clear. And when you're ready and when you're feeling safe, you will find the next right step. Until then, please be gentle with yourself. You're doing really brave work, and I I think that there's hope. Thanks for being here. If today's hack helped, give it a thumbs up and share it with someone who might need it. Don't forget to subscribe for more tools for the journey. And remember, we can't change them, but we can change how we show up. See you next time. Okay, so I also want to share about my own personal story because I think that, it's easy to just sit over here and tell you what Al-Anon recommends, but it's another thing to admit, like, we don't always use the tools and it can be messy. My personal story is that when I came into Al-Anon, I was in a relationship with a recovering alcoholic, and I felt all of the emotions that I had felt growing up in the alcoholic home. I felt just confused about what my part was and what my part wasn't. I felt like having needs was burdensome, that the alcoholic, never had time for me, and I couldn't figure out what I was doing wrong. Was I, not saying or doing the right thing? Oftentimes they would blame or judge me, and I would be blaming and judging them. It was a real mess. I immediately knew something was wrong, even in the beginning of the relationship, but I didn't know what to do about it. So I hung on as long as I could, and I started Al-Anon about a year into the relationship. And I was hoping that the program would help me fix the relationship, and if it didn't, that it would help me decide whether to stay or go. And I definitely took to heart that advice, like no major changes in the first 6 months. I really tried my best to stick it out, to do my own inventory first before deciding whether this other person was the problem. But as I've shared in a previous video, I don't think I quite made it to the 6 month. I definitely felt an urgency to make a decision. I watched a lot of videos online and read as much as I could in the literature for quick and easy solutions, and there were none. And I think I one day I finally just said to my higher power, like, you're gonna have to make this really clear and really um, painful for me to leave because I don't know how to do it. I don't know how else to leave. So yeah, one day I got the sign. My partner did something that was really emotionally hard for me. And I definitely reacted out of fear and pain. I didn't call my sponsor first. I didn't call a friend first. I just decided to break up with my partner. Within 24 hours, I was in the therapist's office telling him I didn't want to be in a relationship with him anymore. So I did have the support of a therapist, but I didn't do it in the way that I had hoped I would, which is with um, a sense of calm and um, compassion for the alcoholic. I really did it out of fear. And there was a series of things that happened after that because of my emotional state that I had to make amends for. The way that I left it and the way that we parted ways was not something I was proud of. I wish that I had talked to my sponsor first. I wish that I had taken at least another few days to really come to a place where I could be stronger and more assured in my decision. But I did what I had to do. I did involve my higher power, and I did involve my sponsor the day, that I broke up with my partner. I did call him and tell him about it. So, I'm not going to sit up here and tell you that you should do it this way or that way. It's really a personal decision. And I think what my sponsor said to me that was the most helpful is that, you are going to find someone who loves and cares about you. Don't be afraid that you will be alone. Um, don't make decisions from that place of like, nobody else is going to love me. And have faith that whatever choice you make, you're going to learn a lot about yourself. Al-Anon will be there to help you work through all those challenges if you want to stay in the relationship. And Al-Anon will be there if you want to start over with someone else and learn, in the next one. But either way, you're going to be able to recover. And that was really helpful to know that he wasn't judging me for my decisions. I think I was judging myself, but yeah, there's no right way to do it. There's no clean and perfect way, but if you lean into your program, you'll learn as much as you can along the way.